Life has a way of knocking you down, hard. The mistakes, the regrets, they all pile up until it feels like you're carrying the weight of the world. But I want you to listen closely. Your past does not define your future. It's just a chapter, and today we're turning the page. We all have a past that haunts us, mistakes that follow us, regrets that seem to echo in our minds. But what if I told you that your past, everything you've been through, can actually become the foundation for something extraordinary? This isn't about empty motivational phrases. It's about practical, actionable strategies rooted in the ancient philosophy of Stoicism that can help you transform your life. In this video, we're going to explore how to break free from the chains of your past, reframe your failures, and transform your pain into power. We'll discuss tools that have been passed down from ancient philosophers, and more importantly, how they can be applied to your life today. Whether you're 16 or 60, whether you feel stuck at rock bottom or you're on the verge of success, but something from the past keeps holding you back, this is the moment you've been waiting for. What if the burdens you've been carrying could become the fuel for your future? We all carry the weight of our past in some way. It's there in the hesitations, the fears, the moments where we stop ourselves from moving forward because we're so tied to what happened before. Maybe it's a failed relationship, a missed career opportunity, or simply regret over not being the person you thought you should be by now. But here's the thing. That weight doesn't have to define you. Imagine for a moment you're carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents a regret, a mistake, or a missed opportunity. Every day, you carry that weight with you, and the longer you hold on to it, the heavier it becomes. Now ask yourself, how far could you run if you simply put the backpack down? Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest philosophers, once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What he meant is that the very things we think are holding us back can be transformed into the fuel that drives us forward. Every mistake you've made, every setback you've experienced, it's all raw material for growth. The weight of your past isn't a burden, it's a teacher. What if the pain you've endured was the foundation for your greatest strength? Your past doesn't have to be a prison, it can be a classroom. Every setback, every failure, every time you fell short, these weren't roadblocks, they were lessons. The key is how you choose to interpret those moments. The Stoics had a powerful belief. It's not the events in our lives that harm us, but our judgment of those events. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, you can't control what happened, but you can control how you respond to it. Here's the shift. Instead of seeing your past as a collection of failures, start viewing it as a series of lessons. Take the hardest moment of your life. Maybe it's a breakup, a betrayal, a financial disaster, and ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How did this shape me? How has it made me stronger? This is called reframing, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can use to transform your past into a source of strength. When you reframe your past, you stop seeing it as something to escape from and start seeing it as a foundation for the future. You're not the person you were back then, and that's because of everything you've gone through. Your past isn't a burden, it's a blueprint. What if failure isn't the opposite of success, but the very ingredient needed for it? Failure. It's a word that fills most of us with dread. We've been taught to fear it, to avoid it at all costs. But here's the reality. Failure is not the enemy. In fact, failure is often the most powerful force for growth. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who was born into slavery and later became one of the greatest teachers of his time, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Failure, in itself, isn't the issue. It's how you respond to it that determines whether it becomes a stepping stone or a roadblock. Think of failure as a harsh but fair teacher. It doesn't sugarcoat the truth, but it offers the most valuable lessons you'll ever learn. Every time you fail, you're not being pushed further from success. You're being refined. You're learning what doesn't work, which means you're one step closer to finding what does. Consider the story of Thomas Edison. Before inventing the light bulb, he failed over 1,000 times. But he didn't see those attempts as failures. Instead, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison understood that failure wasn't a sign to stop. It was a sign to keep going. The same goes for you. Every time you've failed, you've gathered valuable data. You've learned something new about yourself, your goals, and your path. The next time you face failure, and you will face it, remember this: it's not the end. It's part of the process. What if your true strength lies not in your past or future, but in the present moment? We spend so much time either reliving our past mistakes or worrying about our future that we forget to live in the only time that truly exists: the present. The present moment is where your power lies. It's the only thing you can truly control, yet most of us spend so much of it focused on things we can't change or control. The Stoics were masters of present focus. They called it living in accordance with nature, which means aligning yourself with the present moment. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Here's what this means for you. Stop letting your mind be consumed by what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. Every time you catch yourself drifting back to those moments, gently bring yourself back to now. Ask yourself, what can I do in this moment that will help me move forward? One of the simplest yet most powerful Stoic exercises is to remind yourself that the past is gone and the future isn't here yet. All you have is this moment, so make the most of it. Every small action you take today, in this present moment, builds your future. What if true freedom means choosing your own path, no matter who it disappoints? How often have you found yourself living according to someone else's expectations? Whether it's society, family, or friends, there's always pressure to conform, to fit in, to be what others want you to be. But here's the truth. The expectations others place on you are their limitations, not yours. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher, said, "Care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner." Every time you choose to live up to someone else's expectations, you're locking yourself in a cage built by their vision of who you should be. But here's the thing. You don't have to stay in that cage. You don't have to live your life trying to meet the standards that others have set for you. The world doesn't need another person following the script. It needs you, the real, unapologetic you. Here's what you need to understand. At the end of your life, you won't look back and regret the expectations you didn't meet. You'll regret the dreams you didn't chase, the opportunities you didn't take, the life you didn't live. So why not break free now? Write your own story. Live for yourself. What if the pain you've endured is the greatest fuel for your growth? Pain is an inevitable part of life. But what if instead of running from it, you embraced it? What if you could transform your pain into power? Friedrich Nietzsche famously said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." But let's take it a step further. Pain doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you wiser, more resilient, more empathetic. Pain is a teacher, and the lessons it teaches you are some of the most valuable you'll ever learn. Take the story of Admiral James Stockdale. He was a prisoner of war for 7 years, enduring unimaginable pain and suffering. But he didn't let that experience break him. Instead, he used Stoic philosophy to endure, and when he was finally freed, he said, "I never lost faith in the end of the story." He knew that his pain was temporary, and that on the other side of it, he would find not only freedom, but immense personal strength. Admiral James Stockdale became one of the greatest modern examples of turning unimaginable pain into fuel for personal growth. Now think about the hardest moments of your life, the ones that brought you to your knees. What if those very moments were the foundation for your greatest growth? Pain, while it feels unbearable in the moment, has the power to sharpen, refine, and reshape us. Every scar you carry is a reminder that you survived, and surviving means you've already won. The pain you've endured can become a roadmap for others, a source of empathy, and a testament to your resilience. Your pain doesn't need to be hidden, it needs to be harnessed. What's holding you back today? Is it a past hurt, a betrayal, or a personal failure? Take a moment to recognize it, not as a weakness, but as the foundation for your future strength. What if the key to freeing yourself from the past is hidden in forgiveness? One of the most challenging parts of letting go of the past is the inability to forgive. Whether it's others who hurt you or yourself for mistakes you've made. Holding on to anger or resentment is like carrying a heavy load, and the only person it burdens is you. We often think that forgiveness means letting someone off the hook or saying that what they did was okay, but that's not true. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the emotional hold that a person or event has over you. It's about deciding that your peace matters more than holding on to resentment. And here's the harder part. Sometimes the person you need to forgive is yourself. We can be our own worst critics, replaying our mistakes and judging ourselves harshly. But self-forgiveness is a critical step in moving forward. You are human, you are imperfect, and you deserve the same compassion you would offer a friend. Here's something you can do today. Write a letter of forgiveness. It could be to yourself or to someone else, even if you don't send it. Acknowledge the hurt, but also acknowledge that you are choosing to let it go for your own well-being. What if letting go isn't about erasing the past, but accepting it? Grief is not just about losing people, it's about losing dreams, losing opportunities, or even losing a version of yourself. We often think that to move on we have to forget or ignore the pain of the past. But that's not true. True letting go isn't about forgetting, it's about acceptance. When we accept the past for what it was, without trying to change it or wishing it had been different, we open ourselves up to healing. Acceptance doesn't mean you agree with what happened. It just means you acknowledge that it's part of your story and it no longer controls you. We grieve for the things we wanted, the opportunities we lost, and the people we were. But once we process that grief, we find a new kind of freedom. One where we're no longer tied to what could have been, but focused on what can be. If there's something you've been grieving, a lost opportunity, a version of yourself that no longer exists, take a moment to sit with those feelings. Honor them, but also recognize that your story isn't finished yet. What if the pain you've endured is helping you uncover your life's purpose? Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and renowned psychiatrist, said that those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how. Finding meaning even in suffering allows us to let go of the past and move forward with purpose. When you attach meaning to your pain, it no longer controls you. Maybe your struggles taught you resilience, compassion, or a greater understanding of life's fragility. By reframing your pain as something that has deepened your character, you no longer see it as a burden, but as a stepping stone towards something greater. Ask yourself, what has my pain taught me? How has it shaped my values, my priorities, and my vision for the future? Once you find the lesson within your suffering, you can use it as fuel for your future. What if the person you've been isn't who you have to be tomorrow? Sometimes the hardest part of letting go of the past is letting go of the identity we've attached to it. We often define ourselves by our mistakes or failures, creating a version of ourselves that's stuck in time. But here's the truth. You are not your past. You are not bound by your mistakes. Every day is an opportunity to build a new identity, to redefine who you are, and to move closer to the person you want to become. It's time to ask yourself, who do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to live? Take one small step each day that aligns with that new version of yourself, and over time, you'll realize that you've let go of the old identity that no longer serves you. What if the key to a fulfilling life isn't in achieving more, but in living with greater intention? We often think that fulfillment comes from achieving more success, more recognition, more of everything. But the Stoics understood that true fulfillment doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from how you live. Living with purpose, with intention, is the key to a meaningful life. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How much time do we waste every day chasing things that don't matter? How often do we find ourselves busy, but not productive? Living with purpose means aligning your actions with your values. It means doing things that matter to you, not because someone else told you to, but because they are meaningful to you. Here's a practical way to start living with a greater purpose today. Take a moment to reflect on what truly matters to you. Write down your top 3 values, the things you want your life to be about. Now, look at your daily actions. Are they aligned with those values? If not, it's time to make a change. Start small, but make sure that every day you're taking actions that align with the life you want to live. What if the past keeps coming back to haunt you? You're stronger than you think. Moving forward isn't a straight line. Just when you think you've let go of something, it can come back and pull you under. Emotional triggers, reminders, or even unexpected setbacks can bring the past roaring back to life. But here's the thing, relapses are normal. They don't mean you haven't made progress. It's not about never being triggered again, but about learning how to respond differently when the past resurfaces. Next time a memory or feeling from the past threatens to overwhelm you, pause. Recognize the trigger for what it is, an echo, not a current reality. You've already survived the hardest parts. Now it's about building resilience every time those old feelings come back. Each time you face a relapse, it's another opportunity to show yourself that you are stronger than your past. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every step you take on the journey of letting go brings you closer to true freedom. Whether it's rewiring your brain through neuroplasticity, overcoming the sunk cost fallacy, practicing self-compassion, or creating your own closure, these are the tools that will allow you to step into the future unburdened by the past. Letting go is a process, and it won't happen overnight. But every small step you take in the right direction is progress. The key is not to seek perfection, but to make peace with your journey. The key to true freedom is understanding that your past is not a life sentence, but a series of lessons and experiences that have shaped you, not defined you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or erasing the past. It means embracing the fact that you are constantly evolving. It's a journey, and each step forward gets you closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. Your past may have brought you to this point, but it doesn't have to determine where you go next. You've learned from your mistakes, you've felt the pain, but now it's time to release the weight and walk forward, lighter and wiser. As you continue on this journey of letting go, remember that it's okay to stumble. It's okay to revisit the past from time to time, but don't stay there. You are allowed to forgive yourself, to seek closure, and to choose a new path. It's never too late to rewrite your story. The power lies in the choices you make today. Now that we've explored the many ways to let go of the past, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share one thing from your past that you're ready to release. What's one step you'll take today to move forward and let go of the weight that's been holding you back? And if this video resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more content that helps you unlock your true potential. Together, we'll continue to learn, grow, and step into the future with confidence and purpose.